Hey students, this is Miss Trivet again. We are working on Chapter 1, Lesson 3 today. This one is called Order of Operations. So have your notes ready. In our math books, we're on page 18. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll start in our learning target section, top right-hand side of our journal, with our I can statement, our learning target. Today, we're going to say, I can use the order of operations to evaluate numerical expressions. It's a little bit longer than our last couple ones. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and get my pen color for our learning target. All right, I can use the order of operations to evaluate numerical expressions. So that's what we're doing today. So order of operations is one of the big key concepts here. We also need to know what evaluate means, and then of course numerical expressions. We'll talk about that too. Let's start off with this numerical expressions term right here. Numerical is just talking about numbers, and expressions are just like number sentences. So this would be number sentences. So we're going to just talk about different number sentences today. These won't necessarily have an equal sign in them. They're just some operations inside, like adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the order of operations. And a lot of times people use an acronym called PEMDAS to describe the order of operations. So on the left-hand side of our teacher note section, we're going to write PEMDAS up and down as an acronym. P, E, M, D, A, and S. So each of these letters represent something specific and in what order that we are going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing each time we have a math problem. So the P stands for parentheses. So I'm actually just going to draw a set of parentheses. So anytime you have an expression or an equation for that matter, we always start inside those parentheses. Another thing you might see is a set of brackets. Brackets act just like parentheses as well. So we always start within those, and then we work our way out of those. The E in PEMDAS stands for exponents. And our previous lesson talked about powers and exponents, so you should now know what those are and how to solve for them. An example would be something like 3 to the 4th power. M and D are actually done on the exact same step. So the M is for multiplication, and we can use multiplication sign like that or like that. Oops. A dot will be multiplication sign. You can also use parentheses to show multiplication. Lots of different ways to show multiplication. Division, you can also have a lot of different ways to show division. We have the typical division sign you probably learned in elementary school. You can use a slash bar or a fraction bar to show division as well. So these are done at the same time, and you do them from left to right like you read a book. So if you're looking at an expression that has lots of things to do, you go from left to right, whatever multiplication and division happens first and all the way to the last. And the A and the S are also done on the same step. So the A stands for addition and the S stands for subtraction. So again, we do these from left to right like we read a book. And so the left-hand side or the right-hand side, all addition and subtraction goes on the same step. So those are the order that you want to stick to when you're looking at an expression. And if you go out of order, for example, if you start with addition and then do your parentheses and then do your multiplication, then do your exponents, you will probably not get the correct answer. So this is all to make sure that you can find the right answer each time you have a problem. So that is our vocabulary for today. We're going to go ahead and get started in our examples. So on page 18, example 1, these are examples of using the order of operations. So we're just going to use what we wrote down above here. So example 1 has an A and a B to it. A asks us to evaluate, and I'm going to underline that. We'll talk about what that means. Evaluate this expression. The expression is 12. Subtract 2. Multiply by 4. So 3 numbers and 2 operations happening here. So if we use our order of operations, subtraction or multiplication comes first? Well, up here, looks like multiplication comes before our subtraction. So we have to make sure we do this part first, the 2 times 4. So instead of going left to right, we're going to start here and do 2 times 4, which would give us 8. So we have 12 here, subtract 8. Now, when we are asking to be evaluating an expression, they're actually wanting us to find the final answer. So instead of just shortening it, we're actually now going to find the final answer. So what is 12 take away 8? And that's going to leave us with 4. So evaluating 12, take away 2, multiply by 4, that would give us 4 as an answer. Our next one also says evaluate. The question is 7 plus 60 divided by, and then parentheses around 3 times 5. So a little bit more action going on here in terms of different operations and things to do. In PEMDAS, P stands for parentheses. We do have a set of parentheses here. So we're going to start inside these parentheses, and we're going to do this math inside here. So 3 times 5 would give us 15. So we've done that. Parentheses are done. The next thing we do is any exponents, but if I look here, there are no exponents in this number sentence. Then we have multiplication and division from left to right. This is not multiplication or division, but this is. So 60 divided by 15, since that's now a 15, is what we're going to do next. So 60 divided by 15 will be our second step, and that's going to give us 4. So then we have 7 plus 4 left over, and that's our last step. 7 plus 4 would give us 11. So 11 would be our final answer if we are evaluating 7 plus 60 divided by 3 times 5 in parentheses. So that's how you evaluate a numerical expression. Go ahead and move on to example 2 here, where it says using the order of operations with exponents. So these ones up here do not have exponents, but now we're going to get into exponents. So example 2. This one also says evaluate. So we are going to be solving all the way down for a final answer. There is only one here, so there's just an A. I guess we could get rid of that since there's only one question. So the expression we're evaluating here is 30 divided by, parentheses, 7 plus 2 to the third power, and then times 6. So lots going on here, so it's very important that we follow that list of order of operations. So P is for parentheses. So I do have parentheses, so I'm going to start on the inside of the parentheses. And what I notice on the inside is that I have addition here and I have an exponent. So to figure out which thing comes first, we're going to go back to our list. Addition or exponents comes first. Well, I'm going to have to make sure I do my exponents before my addition. So the 2 to the third power, remember, represents 2 times 2 times 2. It does not represent 2 times 3. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So this would give me 8. So I have 7 plus 8 that I'm going to be doing in my parentheses. I'll bring down everything else that I haven't used yet. That didn't change. That didn't change. So now I'm still working within my parentheses. Now I can add the 7 and the 8 together. So 8 and 7 give me 15. So now I have this 30 in the front still, divided by a 15, and then times 6 on the end. So you can see all I'm doing is bringing down my answers each time I do a step, and then things that I have not used yet. So now I see division and multiplication. On our list PEMDAS, division and multiplication happen on the same step from left to right. So I have to do this part first, and then I can go to this part. So 30 divided by 15 is going to give me 2. And then I take that and I multiply it by 6. So my final answer to this one is going to be 12. And that is our example 2. There are some try it on your owns on this page at the very bottom. There are 6 problems on page 18 at the bottom. Go ahead and pause the video and try those out in your student work section if you have some time. And I'll give you answers here in just a second. Okay, number 1, if you tried it out, was 38. Number 2 is 2. Number 3 is 85. Number 4 is 21. Number 5 is 45. And number 6 is 22. So if you're getting the different answers than what I said, you are probably not quite following the order of operations correctly that we wrote down in our notes. We're now looking at page 19, and at the very top, it just reminds us that there's lots of different ways to show multiplication. It says the symbols with the X and the dot are used to indicate multiplication. You can also use parentheses to indicate multiplication. For example, 3 parentheses 2 plus 7 is the same as 3 times parentheses 2 plus 7. It just gives us another reminder of that. Okay, so we're going to move on to example 3. So we'll get some more space here and pick a new color. Okay. Example 3 just says using the order of operation, and again it says evaluate. So evaluating again means go ahead and bring it to the exact same answer. So question A, they give us 9 plus 7 parentheses 5 minus 2. All right, so in order to solve this question, thinking about the order of operations, we'll go ahead and get a new page going here so that we can scroll down. Oops, there we go. So we do have parentheses, so we're actually going to start here on this one. So answer to 5 take away 2 would give us 3. So now going back to here and reviewing what we have now, we have 9 plus 7, and this was in parentheses, so I'm going to keep them around the 3. And the reason I'm going to keep those around the 3 is because there is something going on between the 7 and the 3. Even though there's no operation in between there, there's no plus sign or subtraction sign, multiplication or division sign. What this means when there's a number and a parenthesis sign, it really means multiply. So I'm going to put a dot there to remind us that we are multiplying there. So in PEMDAS, do we add or multiply first? We actually multiply first. So we're going to do 7 times 3, which gives me 21. So I have 9 plus 21 as my way to get my final answer, and that would give me a total of 30. So this one would give me 30. Next, we'll go over here and do question B from example 3. This one says 15 minus 4, parentheses, 6 plus 1, and the parentheses, divided by 2 to the second power. Again, lots going on here. So we do have parentheses, so we're going to start there. 6 plus 1 would give me 7. And the next thing on my list would be exponents. I do have exponents here. 2 to the second power would be 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. So I'm going to put that down here. Now in between this answer and this answer, there's a division sign. So I'm going to carry that down. So what I have now is 15 take away 4. This has a parenthesis mark in between it, so I'm going to use a multiplication dot. And so now I have subtraction, multiplication, and division. I'm going to be multiplying and dividing from left to right before I subtract. So I'm going to go 7 times 4, which would give me 28. And then I divide that by 4. And that gives me back to 7. So now I can go 15 subtract 7. And when I have 15 subtract 7, my final answer becomes an 8. And I have evaluated that expression. We have one more example, and it's on page 19. So let's change colors one more time. Go here, and we'll call this example 4. This one is a real-life application, kind of taking what we're learning and putting it into a real-world application. On page 19, it says you buy foam spheres, paint bottles, and wooden rods to construct a model of our solar system. What is your total cost? So it's got a little chart there. The spheres, we're going to buy 9 of them for $2 each. The paint, we're going to buy 6 of those for $3 each. And the rods, 8 of those for $1 each. So we have, I'm going to use an S for spheres. We need 9 of those. I'm just going to write down that they're $2 each. We have paint. I'll use a P for paint. 6 cans of paint or some kind of item of paint for $3 each. And then we have rods. 8 of those, and those are $1 each. So going back to our question, what is your total cost? I want to know total cost. And that total from our first lesson is kind of asking us to add our total cost together at the end. So really, you could do this either way. You could multiply each of these and then add them together, or you could write out one long expression like we were doing earlier. So if I took 9 spheres times $2 each, that would give me $18 there. 6 cans of paint for $3 each, that would give me $18 there. And then if I got 8 rods for $1 each, that would give me $8 there. 8 times 1, 6 times 3, 9 times 2. So going back to this word total, I'm going to add these 3 amounts together, and I have a total of $44. If you wanted to, you could write this out as an expression in parentheses. So you could go 9 times 2 plus 6 times 3 plus 8 times 1. And that would be our expression that we would do to solve for it if you were asked to do that. There are some try it on your owns at the bottom of page 19. So if you have some extra time, go ahead and pause the video and try out number 7 through 10. Okay, number 7 is 4. Number 8 is 0. Number 9 is 8. And number 10 asks you to use a verbal model to find your total cost using total cost assuming you do not need more paint, and explain. So it says your total cost increases by $3 to $47. You would need 1 more sphere, which costs $2, and 1 more rod, which costs $1. So they said the cost of 10 spheres plus the cost of 6 paint bottles plus the cost of 9 rods, which would be $47. And it's an increase from 3 to 47. So you would need 1 more sphere, which costs $2, and 1 more rod, which costs $1. Okay, that's the end of lesson 3's video. Page 20 and 21 are going to be your 2 practice pages. We're going to do a few of those as our practice assignment, and the rest can be used as extra practice if you need it. Hopefully you enjoyed this one.